Thousands from around the country recently gathered in the nation's capital for the annual March for Life. Aline Clough was also in attendance. Aline recently wrote an op-ed about her decision to become pro-life and also about the kindness and grace that she has received from those in the movement. And Aline joins me now to share more about her amazing story. Aline, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So for years, you were a staunch supporter of abortion. What exactly were your views on it?
Basically, I think I just thought for years that it was the compassionate thing to do. I had bought into a lot of lies, specifically in college. I think college students are certainly inundated with that sort of thing. And for years, I never really centered the unborn in the conversation. I had heard about a lot of really horrible things, and you hear these heart wrenching stories about women in tough situations. And when you're not thinking about the unborn, it sounds like the easy way out, and you really just want the easiest thing possible for these women. But I think over time, I've recognized that ignoring the unborn doesn't make them go away. It just means that you're choosing the hardest path for everyone involved.
I was really fascinated when I read your article. You referenced a conversation you had with a friend who literally debunked every talking point that you'd learned about abortion. What happened in that conversation and what impact did it have on you?
So I don't know how long we stayed in that coffee shop, but it was certainly a few hours and certainly lasted longer than the coffee did. But I think it was really just her sitting there breaking down one by one all of the misinformation that I had learned and thinking that most women just happily want abortions and realizing that a lot of women are pressured into it, thinking that a lot of these are the edge cases when really the edge cases are just that, they're extremely rare. And ultimately just realizing that even though those edge cases are rare and that's what a lot of the abortion advocates focus on, that's not what the policies are advocating for anyways. I mean, we're hearing things about abortion up until birth, we're hearing things about abortion in all circumstances. I certainly realized by the end of that conversation that that wasn't something that I could stand with, that the unborn truly was life and that it was worth treating that way.
Powerful. As we mentioned, you wrote an article about this wonderful kindness that they showed you, and it's called Kindness Won Me Over to the Pro-Life Movement. Why was it important for you to write that article? What were you hoping to come from that?
I think a lot of times people see pro life advocates as kind of angry people just yelling at expectant mothers. And I wanted to really highlight the fact that what the pro life movement means to me is about warmth and kindness and a regard for all of human life. My church has been huge in convincing me of this pro life position, as well as just getting me to see it in a holistic light. And I think I really wanted to tell people that, look, pro life people don't just care about making sure that as many babies are born as possible. They certainly do care that the unborn has a voice, and I think they do a great job at highlighting that. But they also care about mothers, they care about the baby after it's born. They care about making sure that baby grows up healthy and safe in communities with strong families and low crime, and honestly, just a beautiful planet that's stewarded well for healthy children. And I think that a lot of the conversation around pro lifers gets focused on the negative, whereas what I view them as, and certainly the reason that they won me over, despite all of the misinformation I'd bought into, was truly their warmth and their kindness.
I understand that you recently attended the March for Life there in DC for the very first time. What was that experience like for you?
It was so powerful. I think I see a lot of protests go by all the time. I live in DC, and so they're pretty common. And it feels so incredibly different to be standing in a group of people who truly just love life. They're not anti a specific policy. Certainly, they're advocating for the end to things like abortion, of course, but they really are celebrating how much they love and value life, how much they love and value babies and mothers. There were so many signs that said love them both. And I think it was just, it feels different to be in a crowd like that where people are singing hymns and they're just truly celebrating and recognizing how much work there still is to do.
Powerful. Now, you know that Vice President Kamala Harris has been campaigning already on this abortion issue. What are your thoughts on that?
I certainly think it's sad that the abortion issue has kind of come to be seen as a something that is specifically empowering of women. I know a lot of women in sort of my age group and Gen Z who are getting really scared to have children. They're afraid of babies. Some of them even believe that babies are pollution or that it's pro climate, for example, to be pro abortion, or that it's pro feminist, that it helps your career. I really wish that we would just stop seeing babies as such an obstacle and recognize that there's a better way out. I don't think that we have to pit birth and life against all of these other priorities. And I think it's really sad that that's where the politics have ended up.
You are a Christian, is that correct? I understand you are a believer. What impact has your change of heart concerning abortion had on your faith and your relationship with Jesus?
It's absolutely deepened it. I think ultimately at the core of the pro life issue is understanding that our lives are so much bigger than just what we see here when we're conscious and post birth and pre death. I think understanding that God cared about me when He made me in the womb, and He'll care about me when we're reunited in heaven, has made me value my own life and the lives of people around me so much deeper and in a much more profound way. I think there's a lot of issues that a regard for life affects in your faith. I think it affects your self esteem and your self worth and just how much you know that God cares about you. And I think coming to value life right from conception really deepened that for me.
Awesome. What's your message now, Alina, to both supporters of abortion and those in the pro-life movement? If you could say something to both sides right now, what would that be?
We need to choose compassion, ultimately. I mean, I think a lot of people think that they're choosing compassion because it seems like it makes an issue go away. But ultimately, the more that we care about life and the more that we really respect ourselves and respect the value of human life in particular, the more that we'll see that we care about the world, we care about those around us, and it's worth sometimes getting through a difficult situation and helping women through difficult situations to value that in a more holistic way.
And I can imagine, this is my last question for you. I can imagine, you say it deepened your relationship with God. I would imagine there's been some sort of remorse maybe on your part for the years that you were not seeing it that way. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly, growing up, my church was actually pretty okay with abortion, even on an official level. I've since switched churches, honestly, since just getting into my 20s and moving away from home. But I have a lot of remorse because I had also defended it from a Christian standpoint for a while, which really kind of hurts. Um, I'm grateful that God is a forgiving God. I am very grateful that other believers have held my hand and been very patient with me. But it does hurt to know that uh, a lot of the things that I said before defended abortion in the name of God. Um, and that I gave other people perhaps justifications for continuing those beliefs that really were anti life.
Well, we are so proud of you and we are holding your hand as well, Alina. Thank you so much for being so brave and so transparent and for writing that wonderful piece. We thank God for you and what He's going to do in your life moving forward. God bless you and thank you for your time.
Thank you. God bless.